Welcome back to the Quantum Guide Show. I'm very happy to introduce you to another interesting panel with my guests, Frank Castle and Brandon Thomas. Frank Castle is a writer, producer, MC, host of Frank Castle Fearless, and a founding member of the music group Heist Click, as well as a neo-shaman. Neo-shamanism is not a single cohesive belief system, but a collective term for many philosophies and activities. Frank's most current music project, Sons of the Sun, debuts high-frequency futuristic nostalgia, vibes back into the listening environment of music lovers everywhere. He also hosts inspiring conversations with his popular YouTube podcast called Frank Castle Fearless, where he delves deep into the nature of reality. Brandon Thomas is in full alignment with his purpose of conscious awakening. His ever-present mission of giving people back to themselves has manifested itself as breakthrough opportunities to expand ever deeper into the mysteries that fuel his curiosity, which in turn fuels his creativity. Brandon hosts stimulating conversations with his popular podcast called Expanding Reality, whose mantra, the expansion of consciousness cleverly disguised as a podcast. Brandon is also the founder, reality expander of Rediginal Publishing, who is committed to empowering and amplifying the voices and visions of ridiculously original authors and creators. Rediginal is the proud publisher of Expanding Reality, Expanded Insight and Episodic Reflection, Volume 1, a companion handbook to the podcast Expanding Reality, hosted by Brandon Thomas. Rediginal is now elated to publish his Expansion Journal series. This is a mindfully expansive look at self. This series encourages critical thinking and invites true self-actualization. Brandon has appeared on many podcasts and broadcasts to discuss his story, his creations, and his unique perception of reality, of life, and of purpose. Catch new and archived episodes of Expanding Reality wherever podcasts are served. Snag new titles by Brandon Thomas, published by Rediginal Publishing, where his profound works are found. All the links will be found in the description box below. And I want to thank everybody for liking, commenting, subscribing, and sharing this podcast with your friends. So Brandon and Frank, welcome to the Quantum Guide Show. Lovely to see you again. And today we're going to talk a bit about the nature of reality, which is a huge, expansive field. We could talk for weeks about this, I'm sure. But I thought I would start us off today with bringing it down to the grassroots, because there'll be all kinds of people watching and listening to this podcast that come from a myriad of different realities of their own. And so I thought I would bring up one thing that taught me very, very young that there was different realities, and that was in my home life. So when I was 5 years old, excuse me, just before I turned 5 years old, my mother married my stepfather, and they had two completely different realities. And we were forced into one box or the other box all the time. And there was never a mixing. Like usually when people get together and get married or become lovers or partners, they sort of form a third reality where they can interface and they can mesh together. Well, my parents never did that. And so we were fairly harshly disciplined to follow one or the other. But if we didn't pick the right one, we were in trouble, because each one believed that their reality was the reality, and they believed that their reality was universal to the rest of humankind. Well, I found that actually disturbing. And it wasn't until much later in life that I formed my own reality, because I thought I was just supposed to step into everybody else's box and associate and just believe and just be whatever their reality dictated. So I didn't mean to get too much into my past, but it just paints a good picture on, it's amazing how many, I think we each have our own individual reality. And a lot of the problems we see in the world are people thinking that it's universal across all cultures and all of humankind. So, Brandon, do you want to start us off with your thoughts about this?
First of all, yes, and thank you so much for welcoming us because I feel super welcome. I'm going to speak for Frank there. Those are beautiful intros. Thank you
Oh,
so much.
you're
That was
welcome.
amazing, Karen. And a beautiful story to relate to. And I would say another word to use to describe your situation, outsider looking in, would be maddening. My God, just to be pushed and pulled in a direction where you have no compass whatsoever. That's interesting, and to see you doing so well is even more charming. So reality, huh? Is that so? That's what we're talking. Just base reality. You just want me to just say like what I think reality is, or
Anywhere you want to go with this is
man?
great. No rules.
Yeah. So I will first and foremost say that I'm not sure what the hell's going on in anything. I just have ideas, not beliefs. Beliefs are super hard to change, so I just don't subscribe to them. It's I find that how I've described it as of late that's been the most accurate is that we're all, I can speak for myself here, but I could say broadly that we're all just experiencing temporary truths. It's like everything that we know right now, we know so damn certainly, but there's something around the corner that's going to change our perspective of that. So it's super temporary and fleeting. And so I feel that understanding above all, if there's just at least a semblance of that, then your reality really can be played with at a level. Now, also to just touch on consensus reality, which is what you're talking about us all sort of being in the same place. It's a fascinating one in a philosophical argument, right? Because what is real is the whole damn thing. You can break this down to, okay, perhaps this is exactly what they say it is, the official narrative. It's a ball hurling through space. We're bound here by gravity. There's spatial objects, and we're here in relative to one another. Religions may or may not be a thing, and then it's a physical death. Space is a thing. You can travel out there and do all of that, but it's very, very physical, right? And it's very base level. Then you sort of get into an idea of even touching on religions before you shun them altogether. Um, a little bit of something outside, like something unseen, something esoteric, which then gives you a glimpse of something else as a reality. Now, if you happen to dabble in psychedelics as I did at a young age, then you get a whole new perspective of what the malleability of reality is and how it can be experienced. So, again, there's a myriad of ways to objectify and experience your reality here. So, which means that everyone's doing that at all the time with everything. Then you call into some of the ideas I've been looking into really lately with Mark Passio's work and God, Howdy Mikowski, things about like that this is a carbon copy of a real paradise. It's not that at all. It's like if you want to describe it as a post-tribulation uh, rapture world or whatever, like Christ has already come and gone. This is actually hell, and that it's actually taken over by a bunch of demons and stuff like that that are sucking your energy in some sort of loosh farm, and that's what the Matrix is really about. And when you look at it from this demiurge perspective, then it's even more interesting because your reality is dictated by the level of entity that's digging off of you. So even in that sense, you're manipulated at every level. You've got these mental parasites under that ideal that can apprehend everything. So your reality could not be more flimsy at any level when you look at it. Especially down again back to the physical level, where in court cases, witnessed eye testimonies are the most unreliable in court cases because they're so flimsy, and people can change their mind based on a myriad of things, and their observations can't be counted on accurately, which has to do with your reality, and it's even more fascinating how people just float through it subconsciously and don't ask these questions when they're bobbing on the surface of a deep ocean, and they just kind of bob along and never really poke their head under the water. But if you do, it's fascinating. And so that seems like what we're doing here.
Yes, there's so many perspectives, eh? Frank,
Ugh.
what's your take on reality? How would you define it, or how do you see it?
So, um, greetings, everyone listening. Thank you for having me back on the show. This is amazing. I find myself sitting with amazing people yet again. The universe is a beautiful thing. So, where this is how I've been seeing it, because when I was younger, coming off of what you were saying earlier, Karen, uh, with the step parent, with the stepfather and your mother, and then having to be in the box. I had a box in the house that allowed me to be whatever I wanted to be, and then I'm in the Bronx, and right outside the door was violence every day. So there was this weird. I thought the Force in Star Wars would work, and then I went outside and got bullied and it didn't work and it ruined the whole atmosphere here. In here, everything's magic. Over here, not so much. So I had to fall into line with the box that was designed on the block that I was living in. Right. So I had to like turn into this other character almost when I was out on the street rather than what I could do in the house. Because if it got out that, oh, he likes Star Wars, that's a reason to just beat someone up in the Bronx in the 70s. Right. It's weird stuff. However, now as an adult, I see this weird thing. After a ton of ayahuasca experiences and having mother teach me all these different wonderful lessons, my aura, your aura, I see as a movie screen almost, right? So everyone's got their own aura, their own bubble of protection, and inside of it is projecting inside of a shared space that we're all in together, your lessons in the universal organic structure of the universe. So you can be with the smartest person in the world that has no common sense, and you're loaded with common sense. And you're like, how is this the smartest person in the world? He gets so much done and does all this, but he can't figure out how to go grocery shopping. So this is how you start to see how everyone's bubbles reacting. How I can, as an ayahuasca shaman, I sit with people that are in my family that have had the experience. I mean, full blast experience. And then, never touched it again. It was just like, okay, we wanted to see what was up, and still sit right next to me and don't understand a word I say and doesn't believe past their experience. So we're all in this shared thing. I mean, who can look at the state of what's happening now and stand up and then go, well, let's say, voted for this guy or that guy. You could really see what people's internal movie structure is going on. What are they watching inside of that bubble? But you're having a personal experience inside of this shared experience place. And we're supposed to somehow learn to put the pieces together and recognize that we're all one. So when we're working in the shared experience, it doesn't have to have like loaded with evil over here and then loaded with good only over here. There's got to be like a beautiful balance that works back in harmony. And Brandon, when you were talking and you were saying about this guy or that guy and what they were teaching or what they're showing, I think it's all true. It's just a quick perspective on where you're standing, right? Like I bug out on flat earthers all the time, but the truth behind it is what I saw from when I was taken up a bunch of times was a bigger planet with like almost like a snow globe effect over one area and then multiple other areas. And it was explained to me on the Tree of Life that ayahuasca, Mother Earth, like we were in the earth realm section, but she's the whole tree. So you just take the tree and globe it. I know people don't want to hear that, but the earth was spinning. It was gigantic. And I'm like, hey, they don't say anything. Now, when I shrunk back down, it was obvious to me from my perspective that things could be flat because you're sitting in the petri dish. But the place is just much bigger and they're not defining it properly on purpose. So we have to like figure all of these amazing things out and then get all the things right inside of our lessons, inside of our personal space. So if you wake up and you're going to go to war and you pick up your light sword, you go to war every day. If you're going to be distracted by this, that, or that, we got something for all of you. If you want demons and you believe the demons are there and they're taking over, which it's obvious in spaces there are, and then there's people like me. So in my space, there's not. That doesn't exist here because I'm the creator. It works for me, not against me. The entire organic construct we're supposed to be in, the holographic structure, but we have an overlay. So once again, it's like a movie screen that you got. There's an outdoor movie screen, deceptive movie screens, descriptive movie screens, disruptive movie screens, a fake movie screen. And then you have the real universal structure beyond that. And everyone's trying to figure it out. And is it religion? Is it this? Is it that? So you're all playing that out inside of here. And that, like, I see it as like some people are in kindergarten, some people are in first grade, and some people are graduating. This is the graduating class here. We're not just figuring it out. We know what's going on. I know what's going on. I just present my stuff because I feel the world needs to know this stuff. You know, I get heckled along the whole way. I'm just like a normal family guy, and I was a hip hop guy, and it hurt every time I talked about this. It hurt my business I just walked away from the business because this is so much more important. Right. So we have to figure this out. Right. So inside you get UFO guys fighting with Bigfoot guys. And I'm like, yo,
Yeah.
they're both real. Right. You got Fraggles fighting with Smurfs. Who's real? They're both real. Angels, yes. Demons, yes. AI, of course. Jesus, yes, of course he was here. Well, this guy, yeah, we got that guy too. We got deities all over the place, but it's really here to disrupt and distract me and you from rising and realizing that we're creator beings. Right. So it could all be happening at once. So it's not just that I have the answer to the whole thing. We all have the puzzle piece, a puzzle piece. And when you slap it down, it shows you all the layers. And now we're looking at it and we're like, okay, in this space we share, all of this is happening. So let's stop fighting with each other over whether it's the Smurfs or the Fraggles, and get down to business. Realize it's all there and we all have it. You know, when the guys were arguing over M theory and string theory, when they stopped arguing a little bit, you realize that they were just slipping. One guy had this part, one guy had this part. You kind of slip it in because no part by itself was correct, but it wasn't incorrect either. It was just a perspective there, staring at it, right?
Absolutely. There's an old story about, I don't know, 5 blind men that approach an elephant, and one has the trunk and one has the tail, one has a foot and one has an ear, and one has something else, God knows what. And, you know, they're describing it as they're seeing it. But I want to make a couple comments on what you said, Brandon, about the demiurge. That reality within my perceptual arena, that's what I call my reality, because my perceptions are what feed information into my senses, whether they're, you know, six sense or 5 standard senses. I can't remember how many there are, but you know what I mean. You know, I have seen that hell, that demiurge, though I've had those loose suckers attached to my reality. And so I definitely know that that is also real. However, through my own self-empowerment and over time and experiment, I have been able to clean my field, much the way Frank was talking about, and become sovereign within my own perceptual arena and space. And so my life looks very, very different than the way it did before. And I wanted to say something towards what you said, Frank, and that is about the whole flat earth, globe earth. Well, the first thing is I believe everything that's in mainstream is a lie and an inversion. And so since they're pushing this whole globe and outer space thing so vehemently, you know, it's probably the opposite, number one, right there. But the other thing is, boy, you try to find some actual, accurate pictures of the earth taken from space, very hard, if not impossible, to find. So what I've done is, rather than live in a this or that reality, I have a this and that and something else again reality. And I've traded in my beliefs for working theories. That way they can shift and change and grow over time. And I'm not trying to tell the viewers and the listeners out there, you know, how to do life, but I'm just hoping that some of the things we say today will help bring some ease and comfort into other people's lives, because it seems like the mainstream construct is trying to force us into one really stupid and boring ideology of what reality is. And I think it's just so limited and so retarded. I can't buy into it even if I wanted to. However, I do try to respect other people's beliefs, whether they respect mine or not, because it's their journey and they need to find out in their own way. So I love what both of you are saying. I wanted to add one other thing, and that is I'm a very different person than what I used to be on very many levels. And on one level, at one point in my life, I weighed over 320 pounds most of my adult life. And my experience as a large, full-bodied woman was completely different than when I lost weight. And it's beyond the scope of this video to get into my weight loss journey, but I'm just saying the way people treated me, responded to me, the level of respect I had, the social dynamics, it all shifted so drastically that if I hadn't have gone through it, I never, ever would have believed that that sort of is how society is. And yet that experience really helped to wake me up, really, really helped to wake me up to see, how self-limiting most of us are. And then only through steps was I able to shift and be able to adjust and have a good life. Anyway, I didn't mean to make this all about me. I just really wanted to validate what both of you are saying and sort of spin it back to you, Brandon, where you want to take it from here.
Yeah, well, I mean, first of all, we loved what you said. Like, there's no sense in apologizing to us. That's what I love about these things. I don't really consider this an interview. This is a conversation. We're just hanging out. And so if you're inspired to kind of pull from our energy and to say, hey, here's what I'm inspired to say right now that's relevant, please never censor yourself, my friend, especially if you want to talk introduce your guest, speak the whole damn time, and then sign off. I would watch the shit out of that show. So don't worry about it. I would be the guest for that show, by the way. So I would say to what you're talking about the reality bit of this is where the rubber meets the road with this. This is what's so fascinating about this, guys, is because, like, let's say that there is this idea of how I looked at this really sharply was whenever I heard all the Dolores Cannon stuff, and I followed that so hard. I was like, okay, what are we doing here for 3D, 5D? Okay. But everything was third dimension, fifth dimension, fifth dimension. And nobody wanted to talk about that fourth dimension. I'm like, is it like the 13th floor in the, where you just skip it? Nobody wants to talk about it. So there's some key there. And so I started looking into that. And then fourth dimension is usually referenced as your astral, this next level, but it also interacts very heavily and lays over and is a mirror, fit perfect with this reality, just one step energetically out of what you can physically see with your 5 factory senses. But to what you said earlier as well, your 6th sense, that sense of feeling, the one you can't really describe, the one that you're gaslit against, all that, that's the one that indicates I feel that 4th dimension, right? That gut feeling that, ooh, this feels nasty, whatever, your down moments or whatever, you're in that 4D. And so it's this level between where the 4D and the 3D in this analogy, how I visualize it is it's not different. They're the same thing, but the 4th dimension feeds off of the 3rd dimension. The 3rd dimension fuels the 4th in an energetic way. What the energetic 4th is like you said, Frank, all of it. It's the angels, demons, Jesus, all of it, right? But why I feel that is because it is a layer of reality itself. Its ability to apprehend your perception and the malleability of this reality that it's aware of that you're not necessarily. That's where it gets everyone, I think. And that's what makes this place this is why we can bring something like consensus reality into a conversation and even say, no, we don't live in the same place because I experience it this way, you experience it that way. But how I feel it is that it's sort of like a VR game that we're all sort of set up in. Everyone's wearing their own damn helmets and it's all like, it's tailored to you. But yes, there's like an object in the room that in my VR set looks like a chair. In yours, it looks like a chair too. Cool. But now there's an entity in front of us. I look at it like an alien. You look at it like a demon. What is that? Like, what is that about? There's something missing there. And all of it has to do with our perception, which is your reality. Again, we could talk about this idea of the brain in a vat, thing. You could just be a brain in a vat somewhere being fed electronic signals, and you can't prove that you're not, because all this is factory sensory input and configuration. Like, you're just deciphering this shit. Vision goes through your prefrontal cortex and is interpreted before you actually see what you're seeing. So like your brain figures out if what it's going to show you is okay for you or not. And this is also governed by your RAS, your reticular activating system. I talk about this at infinitum because it's fascinating to me. It governs 4 main functions of your body, like melatonin for sleep regulation and things like that. My main interest in it is how it affects your perception. And its definition by scientists, they're like, that's what it does. That's the definition, is to remove useless information as to present or highlight useful information. There's 2 huge subjective words in that definition of that's subjective to each of us, which is useful and useless. Well, what I may find useful is not for you, right? And this is where we get the idea that we're living in different places because, oh, did you see that blue jay fly by? No, I didn't. I just saw this bum pooping on the road over there. We have different priorities for our reality, right? So as far as what catches our attention, and this is where I feel that the fourth dimension comes in, because it knows, I'm going to say it because it's an entity and a force and a wave and a ether all of its own. It manifests in front of you whatever the hell you need to keep moving forward, so it can get the energy from you that it's either contract, that it feels like it's owed, that I don't think that you agreed to shit before you signed up here. I think everything here is sort of a latch onto you when you get here, parasitics, and it's your job to figure out how to shake it all off. You do take on some of it willingly, and we do this all the time. It's called survival. And so you just kind of trudge through this thing, but it feels that at a level, once this recognition came in, once I was like, oh shit, it's stuff just sucking off my energy. It's me offering energy and attention, which is my true currency here. That's the only value I've got as far as what I can offer. Then I'm just going to keep it with me and withdraw it all. Then you look at, again, this idea of outsourcing your attention or energy or prayer at all. What are you praying to? What do you know its intentions are? What are you connecting with? Have you asked what its relationship to you is? Because again, there's, I think, Karen, we talked about this, that there's a Reiki person that came by, lovely person. I love this woman. And it's the first healing that I've ever said no thank you to, because I look at it differently now. I just asked her simply, I just said, you know, I adore you, but have you asked the guide that's giving you this power of healing, you know, what its intentions are, or what it's getting out of the deal? Because when you describe what you're doing here, you say that you bring thousands of people to you. They bring up hurtful, dirty things, which, yes, is bringing up to be purged, just like in ayahuasca ceremonies and psychedelic ceremonies. They do need to be brought up to be purged, but where is it going? What is the interface? And, you know, we talk also about this, like, oh, return to sender, return to Gaia, return to those that are karmic match for this, return it from the personal to the intrapersonal. But what does that mean? Like, that energy has to go somewhere, and something's getting it. So let's say that an energy healer, as an unwitting facilitator of one of these parasites, that then just gets dropped into one of its patients, or it's the people that it's healing, again, unbeknownst. Now, all of this surface level shit, it's symbiotic. It's helping you, it's guiding you, it's giving you the things that you need, but it also is getting something in return. Nothing is free here. So even these sort of energetic binds, contracts, guides, any of that, the arc in archangel stands for archon. So again, when you look at it, like, whatever you're interfacing with, when you say you're interfacing with something, is the same damn thing with its own agenda to get your energy, then cool. Like, whatever you want to say after that, fine. But as long as you approach it like that, or at least I feel ask the question, so that you can be relieved that it's not going to be something that you're not okay with. Again, this 3D, 4D experience has a play together, but what I feel has been the downside isn't that it exists, it's that it exists in a capacity that we're gaslit not to connect with in a safe, healthy way. And this is, again, part of, I feel, the bigger mechanism. You're getting loosh, just all over the place, and little, it's death by 1,000 cuts. One more thing, and I'm gonna just wrap this up real quick. If you look at it from that fourth dimension standpoint, the reason that I feel people say, oh, I've got a contract or whatever, is because those entities know that they're going to get you. They see all the points in which your life's going to suck because they made it happen. Yes, they led you. Amazing fall tower moment, right? We have all these wonderful ways of reconciling the shitty things that happen here. But again, one would ask why, you know, not just as a mechanism of operation, but perhaps he signed up for it. And maybe by withdrawing the need to be led in that way, then you don't get these sort of ping payoffs for the entity, not you. So again, if you look at it like a roadmap for them, they know they're going to, oh yeah, your girl's going to leave you here. Oh yeah, that person's going to die there. Ooh, you're going to make a horrible decision and lose everything here. And I'm just going to get all this loosh. But in the meantime, yeah, they're going to guide, they're going to set you up. They're going to give you gifts. They're going to send a bird by. They're going to send all the numbers that are the same, because they know that that's what you need, because all of it's tailored to your perception. And again, when you sort of see this, I can't necessarily unsee it, because it's, again, an unfalsifiable. It's not anything that I have like sort of any interest in proving or disproving. It's just a perception. It's just, again, I don't have beliefs. I'm just figuring out like everybody else. But again, when I look at it like this, I'm just like, okay, then all of it's tailored to you. Like, because again, I'm not a contactee. I think I have it from a perspective that I used to think sucked. I used to feel like I was on my own and nothing wanted to contact me, and like I wasn't cool enough or whatever. But now I see it as a superpower. I actually don't feel that I was led in a particular direction so as to lose my objectivity for the phenomena. And it's led me in just a very interesting bout of perspectives to where I just can step back and not be personal with it because it's never invited me in. So I don't have sort of an affinity for it. Does that make sense? Okay. I think
Oh
that's what
yeah.
I had to say.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I just want to say, listening to what you have to say, what occurs to me is I have the opposite. I have a very fantastical type of spiritual life. But you know what, Brandon? It doesn't mean mine's better or real and yours isn't. It doesn't mean that at all. It's my perceptual arena bringing me the lessons I need for my own soul evolution right now. That's what it is. And so yours is different than mine, but I can honor yours absolutely. And I can't wait to hear what Frank has to say about all this.
Same. And this what's so beautiful about this, Frank. I want to hear it too. Is that I have no idea again, but I think all of y'all are experiencing the things that you're experiencing in the way you're experiencing it. I don't feel I have access to it. And we've talked about this before. So it's a
Yeah.
separation of chosen experience. I don't invite myself into it, but I love that you guys all experience things like that. I feel like when interfacing with it, like what you guys explained, because it's something that I strive to achieve for decades. And when I couldn't, the way I describe it is I felt like I was breathing underwater. I feel like I wasn't wanted there. So I have high reverence for the contacts, like Frank's story sounds fantastic, man. I've got to get you on to talk about it to the guests.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel that the experiences y'all have, and again, this is why it's so subjective, are so beautiful. They're just, I don't think they're meant for me right now. Now I'm absolutely open and I'm still here for it. It's just an interesting thing to see y'all do it. And I love watching you swim around. I just can't breathe underwater. That's it.
I started to ask myself, what are we here to do? What am I here to do? Not what you're here to do. What am I here to do? Right. And the message came through loud and clear. You're a creator. Right. So I'm going to work back through everything you were talking about. I hope I was taking notes. So when I came into here, even under contract, non-contract, however you want to play it, because you have free will, so things will just interfere with your contract. So if I'm contracted to come in here and have an experience where I walk through death with my physical flesh body into 5D, we're just going to give a scenario, then I have to come in here and do that, right? I have to make the change and evolve in front of everyone during this time period while the sun's going to do its thing and all this other stuff. Okay, that's the contract. Okay, can you actually do that? Because you get attacked as soon as you get in. See, it's both true. As soon as you get in, you get mobbed. Yet they can see you, but I'm the creator. So now this is a belief structure that I'm willing to forego all the bullshit on. I'm source. There's nobody here is going to tell me differently because I've witnessed and experienced it on both angles and both sides, up, down, or left, right, all around me. And when I use that structure, I graduate each time into a new thing that allows me to now see the truth from the higher perspective, right? Okay. So I'm in a place with a lot of programs and people being programmed. So it's easy to be programmed if you're weak-minded, if you have no resisting of the domination, because everything in here is mind. You're not even touching my hand is not solid, because if I go deep into it and look under the atomic level, it's just a coalescing of atoms that I could slide a piece of paper at that level through. So it's pixelation. So what's holding the pixelation together? Consciousness. So nothing here is real. You're creating it. You're the mastermind behind it. So now you're supposed to take body, mind, spirit, and connect them. I'm a programmer from the outside. However you want to describe that is fine. You wake up in a tube, you're a brain in a jar, you're on a spaceship floating. You could be possibly loading yourself in from outside of the game, coming into the game, jumping into a pod, coming down again, and then jumping into another pod because you're in another reality, coming down again, and now here we are. Okay. So I, as the creator, as the programs confront me to program me, I tell them, I designed you. I programmed you. I am the programmer. So now I'm overcoming the programming in my own system, my own bubble of reality. I have to deprogram everything that's been learned, heal all the traumas from every lifetime, because that's the stuff that's coming up in the bubble. That's the movie screen that's going on. There's all these things going on in this torus field, all these little box screens. And in those screens is the infinite amount of lifetimes that I've been here and I've been there and I've been here. And now I'm aware of it and I'm healing it inside the human body, which was built to house source to come in here with a 12-strand DNA, perhaps more at some point, and then dial down to 2, just enough so we can be slaved, deceived, disrupted, and taken into other directions, but not enough to turn us into an actual robot, because then we would just give up. We wouldn't want to be here to play the game. So now we're in here. So I'm the programmer. So I'm reprogramming the AI in my suit, which is my ego. When it tells me no, unless it's a fight or flight, I tell it if I'm healing this, yes. Does the mind protect you from seeing I've smoked DMT? And it turned into like the video game Doom. It looked like that for 1 second. And I don't play that game. I just saw that and was like, that's what I saw. The guy I was working with, my client, had an attachment and it leaped onto me. And it was so frightening to see, because the first hit I took, I looked up and there was a spider coming at me. And it was like my mind or my higher self was like, no, and just blocked it and dragged it down. And I flinched, and then they held me in place. My higher self, I don't know. And they said, don't let the client see you do that. Just relax, take a deep breath. And then my mind kind of wrapped around the reality, and that was, they wanted to show me. So then I went into it and I got rid of the spider. I got rid of this. I did the clearing. Everybody's good. But yes, you are protected in that. Now, just real quick, back to, let's go to archangels. Okay, so this is what I've learned. Inside the matrix, which is the covering that covers from 4D down, it's like a covering, just like you said, boom. The archangel that is an archon is the AI intelligence running around, the Ahriman, duplicating what's on the outside for the inside of the matrix. So for the inside of that box, it replicates it and puts out a phony one for you. So it's a direct archon. It's the head mind of the archon inside this monstrous AI that is the ghost in the machine. It's everywhere. It's nowhere. It's got puppet strings inside of everyone. It is your job to pull that out and know the difference between the AI, what's a demon, what's a lizard man, what's a snake person, what they can do, all the different characters in relationship to what are angels and everything. And we're trapped in a box with mimics. While I meet the archangels, which I don't call them archangels, it's just Brother Michael. That's it. That's what came out of me. Not, it's Archangel Michael. Because when I say Archangel Michael, this thing shows up. I don't know what this is. It looks like robotic or something, which makes me think outside of our visual range. There are things like in the movie They Live that are broadcasting a signal for me to see something else in the visual light spectrum that I'm actually witnessing to. Okay, now, just to go back to the very first thing that you said, 3D, 4D, 5D. 3D is the body, 4D is the mind, 5D is the whole spirit, right? You're trying to connect all of those. So you're taking in the 3D, 4D, there's two things happening. There's a physical reality and a spiritual reality. When the rubber meets the road, it connects and you're in 5D. It's just how we evolve. But the evolution here on this planet has been stunted, not halted to a dead stop, but slowed to a crawl. And now there's a lot of us that are here to have not only the experience of being here, because I've already done this before. If you want to do this on piano scales and say, oh, there's 12 density levels, 1D, 2D, 3D, 4D, 5D, 6D, all the way up to 12. And that could be like an internal source for the matrix. Some of us are from outside of that have been sent here by the source behind the firmament wall, whatever you want to call it, the reality of it, not some artificial intelligence, not some program trying to tell you how to run it. We're from up there. We've already done all this in all these other forms, and now we've come back here to help, but to do it, to show that it can be done to everyone. So Frank's not special. We all special. And that doesn't mean because we're all special, it makes it not special. This is why people love the X-Men and the Avengers and all these wonderful things, because those stories are about us. You can talk to me all day about Zeus and Greek gods and all that, but they're here for me. Every time I show up, they go, creator, welcome. And they fill their role as a father or a mother goddess to get me on a level so I can be prepared to do what I need to do here. Because this whole thing, the whole deception is so powerful and so strong. It's because it's you and how strong you are. Not how weak you are, how strong you are. If you were to take source and put it in a body, you would have to confuse them if you were looking to farm them in a place you're not supposed to be farming to begin with. It just happened to overlay another projection on us. And we're here to shatter the projection, then shatter the firmament, which isn't what people think it is. It's just the barrier to the reality, the real reality, the organic reality, right? I have a theory that we were meant to lose. We came in with everything. We came into this holographic universal construct, and we're different characters at different times all over the construct in the multiversal structure. We had all these abilities and powers. Then we fell from the top to the bottom to 1D. We landed in the pit. And then we were like, yo, we're going to do this. And then we were a blade of grass, an atom, a bacteria, the wind, the fire elemental. We made it with dogs, cats, mice, everything to then become here into this human experience inside a flesh vessel that I will unlock and reprogram back to the 12 strand and show the people around, amongst many others that will be doing this as well, that we can do this and you can do this. And then I'm grounding that energy in. It's pulling it towards us. It's making it easier for those that don't understand. It's giving them the ayahuasca moment with no ayahuasca. I choose to do that so I can move past it. In the beginning, it was like, well, life sucks. I'm almost atheist. I hurt myself really bad. I broke my neck. I don't know what I'm going to do. My girl left. Everyone's, okay, that's all victim stuff. Let's change that. Well, I've healed all the trauma. Now what? Well, creator, you tell me. What do you recall? I'm like, I'm here to anchor the energy and transform it inside of this place. And then all of a sudden, drawing to me wonderful beings from all over the place, just being drawn to me magnetically. Your voice will let them know it's real. It will just give them what they need. They'll take from it what you're saying, but just the vocal sound will enter, and what you have will add to what they have, and what they have will add to what you have, and you will just unlock like a Rubik's Cube in that bubble, showing everyone can do it. And so you have these deities that are running around, Jesus and Shiva and all that. So what did Jesus say? You will do everything I can do and so much more. And all these things they said about me are not even true. Okay, so with that case, what is it? You unlocked the body. You unlocked it, right? It's made flesh for God, capital G, not lowercase deities. We look up and we deify things. We start praying to them. We're about to show you that that's not necessary. You're the thing that you're screaming to God to send to you. It's you, but you have to be aware of it and unlock the body. And awareness in this entire scenario is key. And all this is happening all at once with everything else that's happening. So it's the graduating class. Of course, it's going to be difficult. It's source difficult. The difficulty level is high because it got so low on the other end. There's no balance. So they sent us to wake this place up humbly.
Hi guys, break time for a short message. YouTube will not monetize me, so if you enjoy my content and want to support my efforts, help me to cover my expenses by visiting my shop to buy yourself a beautiful orgone generator. Zendome's Orgonite are my unique brand, and they are ethically sourced, handmade, and double charged for maximum effect. They are only available through my website, www.karenholtonhealthcoach.com. Many people are finding comfort with Zendome's orgone generators, commonly called Orgonite. They are a simple compound which balance ambient energy by converting negative energy and EMF into positive healing energy with many easily confirmed health benefits. They are a simple compound with alchemic and energetic properties. These devices function as self-driven, continuously operating, highly efficient, negative to positive energy transmutation factories. They help diminish the harmful effects of electromagnetic frequency radiation by attracting and converting negative energies, retuning them into new and more healthful sound and light wave patterns. And they help to purify the atmosphere and accelerate plant growth. They also help stimulate positive mood and are a natural remedy for poor sleep patterns. When orgonite is within range of any corded or wireless electronic device, it will efficiently and continuously transform that energy into orgone as it is being transmitted. This essentially creates orgone energy transmitters out of any and all emitters of harmful negative energy. You can use these devices for focusing the mind, healing, meditation, and for spiritual growth. Zendome's orgonite are my unique brand of orgone generators, and they are only available through my website. Don't be fooled by imitations. Check out my website to see my latest selection at www.KarenHoltonHealthCoach.com. That's KarenHolton healthcoach.com. Check them out today. Now, let's get back to the show.
Right. I got to worry about how I transform, because at the end of the day, the real reality is cats. I have 12 cats. They throw up and they poop and they pee, and I got to clean the box, and I got to, whether I'm in 4D, 3D, 5D, I still got to clean this place. I still got to clean this place as a reflection of my inside. And then I live good, clean here. I live good, clean there. I heal my trauma, beget spiritual equity back into the mix. And at some point, your highest self is going to squeeze into your body. It's never not been there, but as the two strands, think of it as like a squeezed toothpaste, and then you blow back into it, giving it air again, and now things can fit in, not being a crumpled mess. That's going to be your highest self fitting back into the overlay, and that's what 5D is. It's like the real reality, what's going on. You had to become powerless to learn your powers again, because we can't just have you altering reality on a huge scale. I go, oh, you have the powers of God, here you go, capital G. Okay, Frank, have a good day. And then you go out into the street and you're like, I don't like the way that guy's looking at me, I hope you fall off a cliff. And he just poofed cliff. You can't do that stuff. So you lose it all to regain it all back and learn what this is, what you are, and why you're meant to be here. So I'm sorry I just ranted like that. I apologize.
No.
That's outstanding, Frank. Outstanding.
Never be
I just have a
sorry.
quick question. So why can't you just be God and then create a character which would then be you? So you're the one experiencing it, and then create a cliff and then have it fall off. That seems to be whatever creator here is doing, if it's governed in that way. That all of a sudden this irony will just bestow, and like a piano will fall on somebody or some shit, right?
That's what you're learning. So one of the first things they did with me, I was with another shaman, right? And I only work directly with source. You were saying about that girl that pulls in the energy or whatever. If you just work directly with source, because you know your source and you have a tether to source, you can just connect and do all that stuff and make it wonderful. So you can X out all this other stuff. I was with a shaman Jimmy, and we drank ayahuasca. He was in Florida and we drank at the same time. I'm in New York. We saw each other, and then they put us in boxes next to each other, and we were like looking at each other, and we were like, dude, we did it. This is amazing. I can't believe this is happening. And then a guide came in and another guide came in. Inside the box that I was in, they said, I want you to think one thought. Creator, you have to understand how powerful you are. I said, oh, okay. Anything? They're like, anything. I says, I love a squirrel. I fed my squirrel this morning. Boop, there was a squirrel. They're like, okay, cool. I said, yeah, man, be cool if you had a little Jets jersey, a little helmet. He was running around, he was doing this. And all of a sudden, it was all occurring, and then there was a team, and then there was more squirrels, and there were squirrels on bicycles. There were squirrels everywhere. Then they started pooping and eating and I was like, oh my God, there's squirrels everywhere. And boom, stop everything. I look over at Jimmy. He's like, I don't know what happened. And he's covered in poop. And I go, what did you do? The box, he was disgusting. He said, think of one thing. And I said, man, I got to go to the bathroom. And then the whole place was covered in poop. And then they exited him out the box and said, you're not ready for this. you're not even ready. And we'll see what happened with Frank with the squirrels. That's why you have to train your mind one thing at a time, right? You have the power to stare at a demon right in its face and melt its face back because it's actually a program, or well, they're all programs, but there's a consciousness in there running that thing. You most likely will know who that is. And you're peeling back their face with Hanuman, the deity, the Hindu deity, will show you how to stare at it almost like Superman and burn it out. Okay, well, you can't. When I first started this, I couldn't do that. I grabbed a demon once and looked at it, and it just took me. In the very beginning, it just took me. It was in me. I had to have my wife come and clear me. I went through it was like having an ayahuasca purge, but no ayahuasca, and just pull it out of him because he doesn't know what he's doing. Right. And I'm working with ayahuasca. Mother Earth is always there. These people are always there. These beings are always there. They're always with us. You call to one, they're there. And if there's one that's not there that you think you need, like Spider-Man or something, they'll send Spider-Man. You'll just be like, oh, it's whatever you need, creator. You're in a holographic projection being held together by consciousness. This is how you're able to do that God stuff, the manifestation. But we can't just let you off the leash. Here's your God power, but your flesh isn't allowing it. You have to unlock. There's a whole thing going on. So you're in like a universal structure, but you're in a university. So you're learning how to reprogram your suit. And as you do, you get a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit here. And you start to learn compassion and respect and love. And you got to love yourself. Then you meet Buddha and you're like, man, I love myself. Awesome. You get to him and you're like, Master Buddha, what do I got to do more to be like you? And he goes, love yourself more. And you're like, you son of a bitch. And then I came 10,000 miles to find you. And you're like, love yourself more. And he's like, obviously you need to love yourself more. Right. And then you start loving yourself more. And then this occurs. Now I'm at a point where everyone works with me. There's nothing that works against me. There are things that want to. There are things that want to take me down, but they can't. People will call that spiritual protection, whatever, call it whatever. You could, with or without my protection, you send it in here. It's not coming home. That's it. It's going right to source. I only work directly with source because I am source. That belief system builds a structure inside of you that is unbreakable, unshakable, and the magic happens. Magic after magic after magic after magic. You never say, I'll believe it when I see it. You just say, I'm ready for the magic. I'm ready for the change. It's time to make the change. And like a flower, you sprout and grow leaves. And on those leaves, these wonderful, amazing things happen that you never thought could happen before. And it starts small with a parking space. I prayed ahead for someone. They got into an accident, but they were untouched inside the crushed car. Man, weird stuff. Man, I need milk, and I don't need it to expire next week. I need some fresh stuff. Boom, there's one left. Weird things, synchronicities. I'm vacuuming. Is this real? What the hell am I doing here? What is this psychotic box that I'm in? I'm dancing around with my wife, and then 444. And I'm like, 444. And that's the universe going, it's real, bro. Tune in. Tune in. Don't tune out. Don't tune out. Tune in now, right now, right now. And then you start living in this now moment, realize there's time is some bullshit. And you're like, wow, it just goes from one moment to the next. They put you on the time cycle to make you believe in it. So there are some belief structures. They want you to believe in it. But I believe in myself. I love me. I trust me. My discernment is key. My awareness is key. And all it does is level me up doing this. Now, saying all this is just to share it with everyone else, because I believe you can't stop source. You're here for a reason. This isn't nonsense. This isn't universal accidental things created, right? You're not meant to be on your knees to pray to something. You're not meant to be burdened with 9 to 5s and all that other stuff. That's not what we're here for. This whole construct, the real universal construct, is meant to work with you, not against you. It's in your favor. I need this, not desperately. It's your emotional bandwidth. You're the creator. God would have every emotional output. Whereas like a reptilian will just have maybe like the lower 3 chakras activated and all of those things in between at a massive amount. And you'll be like, wow, but I got everything activated. I have every emotion. Man, I was crying this morning. Then I got up and I kissed the cat and I was fine. Then I danced through the house and then I was like, oh man, I stubbed my toe. And like everything. And the whole universal structure is looking at us because they're interested in how we're going to react, having all of that information. But the body was built for us in agreement to be able to unlock it and do all that from the other side. Because once again, I'm looking from the outside in. I already know what happens. I know how it happens. When you were saying they know how it happens, yeah, only up to that point. You could blind them and say, no, you're not allowed to look. You can fake a structure. You can go to the 13th room, which is like the outside of the structure. It's all white. You could reprogram your contract, look down, see what they're doing, then move out of the way and they can't find you. You can stand in front of a being and never be seen. He'll just never see you. I don't see him because you're sharing the space, but you're moving the bubble. You're erasing it from the frequency. You can do anything. Anything. They look, poke them in the eye. Like, we're warriors. We're the light. We're the information. We're the source of it all. Come here. Mother Earth prayed to God to send help, and God sent us. Little gods, little individual. Here's Frankie Christ. Here's Brandon Christ. Here's Karen Christ. Here you go. Activate. The Christ is only an activation point. If we were playing a video game, it would be like you beat level 4 and you activated the Christ. Not that Jesus shows up. He's not going to show up. He's a guy, right? Like Shiva. I go, people pray to you. You don't go and bestow gifts. He goes, what am I, Santa Claus? Creator. I'm an ET from another place that came here and got caught in the death and reincarnation cycle, just like you, and then obtained the Christ, which we called something different there, but it doesn't matter because it's the same thing. We're all talking about the same thing. So if we remove Jesus from the Christ and put your name there, then all of a sudden everything starts to fit inside the structure. And we're all learning all these different things. And then here's the thing with the truth. We're all sharing this room. There's a chair right there. The human mind has a thing where it's like, oh, look, there's a chair. You'll say there's a chair. And then someone else will go, yeah, I see a place to sit. And then you go, oh, but it's a chair, right? Well, it is a place to sit, and it's designed to put your bottom on. And you're like, dude, it's a chair. But the human mind will go, because you have to have every single thing happening here. You have to have every perspective. You got to have the poor guy looking and seeing the big picture, and the rich guy looking down, seeing the small picture, and everything in between. You have to have it because we're all really from the one consciousness.
And I'd love the way you talk about this. So my question that also would be then this death and reincarnation cycle that even Shiva themselves found themselves in, like how do you feel about that? Because that's the question, right? I don't argue any of what you said. I just think that it's fascinating about the divine spark thing that we all have and that it can get fooled. And it feels like that's sort of the explanation of this idea of Rex Monday or the demiurge of the Cathars and the Gnostics were talking about, is this idea that, yeah, you were tricked here. You're amazing and you're all powerful and you're dope as shit, but you were fooled. And so then the question is like, okay, well, if you can be fooled as a creator and be stuck somewhere, what kind of creator are you? And that's the part that I have the issue with, is when I'm being told that you're a creator, you're doing all this is all for you, you chose this, but then I look around and I think, well, if this was a school and reincarnation is sort of a way to level up each time, I have issue with calling it a school, because I would like to know that mesquite thorns sting you every time you touch them in every life. Like you would think that you'd be born with that knowledge ahead of time so that you're not set back with silly things along the way. Sort of like, again, falling off cliffs, or that you can't fly, or that if you eat that, it's poisonous. Well, it is. But then the question is how many times does God, source, yourself, need to reincarnate to discover itself through trillions of rapes, murders, atrocities?
It's not that
horrible experiences. And that's the question, really. That's the issue I have whenever people start talking about contracts, is when they tell these women who have been raped multiple times, oh, you chose that, your soul chose that to level up, perhaps, but I don't know that. They don't know that. No one
No,
really
you
knows
could have
that.
been
And then
you contracted to just anchor energy, right? And then the rape is part of the scenario that took place because you're in a free will land. So like the parasites they descend on you, correct? But my contract isn't to get raped. You got raped. Now the contract changes to heal your trauma. How am I going to deal with that? Your job was to just anchor the energy. You're in a place where you can get raped. You can get eaten. They can sacrifice you to Moloch here. You can fall in a sewer and get eaten by an alligator. And you're like, what? This place is designed to eat you. So the contract isn't people that go, well, you were contracted to get raped. That's a dummy. Don't think that they're not understanding my contract, right? I'm being very specific, was to come in, anchor the energy, and transform. Right? There's a couple of little things in there. I'm not contracted to meet my wife. We met each other. They were hiding us from each other under duress. They were interfering on the highest level. But I had to drink ayahuasca to realize what was happening. Beings came to me and described a few things. I went and what looked like a scenario where people were just going to go out and hang out for tonight. All of a sudden, she shows up. I've never met her, and we've not been together since that day. So I had to like claw, fight, figure out, but I wasn't contracted to her. My contract is to anchor the energy. If I come in here and get beat up every day, these are lessons you're learning. And how are you going to deal with that? Like a lot of people put themselves in scenarios, and some people take themselves far away from scenarios and get stuck. They get stuck in them. It's like they follow them. Correct. Because things are parasitically attached to you. So to have free will, you have to have if you're contracted to come in here, if you contract me to sing a song, right? And I come in to sing a song, my job is to sing the song, but Suge Knight's in the studio. I'm not contracted to get beat up by Suge Knight. My job is to create the music. I have to figure out how to deal with this guy because that's the reality of the world we live in. You can choose not to go in there. You can choose not to go to Suge Knight. You can choose not to go sing the song this way. You can choose to sing it over there or do it in your apartment instead. So I'm contracted to get this music done one way or another. That's when I get paid. But damn, Suge's in there. What does Suge have to do with this? Who cares? See how it interfered? He can beat me and rape me. Right? And people have been by him. That doesn't mean they were contracted to do that. You could be fooled by a demonic presence that plays off your everything to get you in that scenario. And then they tell you, you want that, baby. When you walk in that door, they lock it and go, then you're going to have this done to you, then that done to you. You can choose to leave at that moment. Okay. Person that gets raped, unfortunately, people get raped. People get eaten. We kill everything on this planet and stick it in our face holes.
That's
right?
the issue. That's one of the issues I've got. Is this everything has to die for something else to live?
That's okay. The Matrix layover on us. It's like think of it as like windshields or a layer of some kind, like a cake layer that they keep inserting layers. So we keep going blind. So from at the 12 strand opening, you ain't eating nobody. You're not turning a cow into a hamburger. You're not going to kill a chicken. You're not going to do that on this level. However, when you sink into this place in the shared reality, there's that bubble again. And then there's an overlay. So it's like, eat the food. You must eat the way. You must, and your body is then become conditioned. And over time, the DNA is a certain way. They lower your 12 strand to your 2 strand. I'm not a scientist. I'm trying to be quick and generalizing to show you that you can work your way down into that, and then you're trapped. You're trapped in the cycle of eating it, and that's the snake eating its own tail. Our job as cycle breakers is to be like, stop eating your own tail. Unfortunately, some people can't not eat meat, right? And it's unfortunately some people cannot get murdered or be in a scenario where something terrible happens, like rape. Little children get injured and trafficked all over the world all the time. this is what we're here to stop the cycle from continuing. It's like, oh, now I'm not to like stop eating meat, become a vegan, and then tell you to stop eating meat. That's not how this is done. You can do that. And because everything's there, you have to have a guy doing that. Oh, I'm like this, so you should be like this too. No, I got to do it through my experience, because as I live through it, you witness it, because I'm only supposed to be affecting my wife, my cats, my mother, my brother. I mean, maybe these people, maybe my neighbors. I'm not meant to change the whole world that way. I'm meant to show the people in my immediate vicinity my energy, my signature, to make that ball get bigger so we can share in this, and it raises everyone else's up. And yeah, the demons do attack. They do. They reptilians, demons, archons, they don't, the AI specifically, they don't care. They don't care about universal law and structure and whatever. Some of the reptilians do, they have no choice. But if they're told, go in there and do that. But remember, there's consequences. There are opposite things of reptilians. People talk about galactic federations and different characters. They're there watching that these guys don't reveal themselves, so this could happen. And then you got to let them evolve, and this can't happen, but this can happen. But they did this, and now the demons in them. I can't help it if Frank goes to the bar, drinks whiskey, and gets a demon in him and gets into a fist fight. Like, the spiritual can't protect you from that shit. You have to know better and use your discernment and walk away from it. And yeah, man, it's hard. There's addictions and bad people and shitty things that happen. And no, it's not fair and it's not right. But you have to choose to wake up with and be thankful and grateful and loving in the experience. Or you could choose to get up and be a piece of shit every day. So the choice is yours on how you look at it. No, you're right. Nobody deserves to be murdered, raped, and killed, but we're in a projection that allows that because of that overlay. The reptilians run this place, but we're taking it back.
The idea goes, though, that your source that created all of this and that you're everything here. One of the ideas is that your source who created everything here, and therefore that you're kind of in control, or that you set it up this way. But then there's counter ideas to that, that you are a source of energy, but that you're sort of hostage or trapped here. So the question is, which one? Because if you base it on the idea that we're trapped here, then what I see around us makes a lot more sense. If we say that we're spiritual beings evolving for a perspective that I do not have any confidence in because I don't experience in it, then what you have is your own subjective reality with it, which is beautiful, man. And that's something I would never argue
both
against.
sides of the coin.
Well, right. And that's the point.
You have both.
Yeah, exactly. You do. You're allowed, but let's say
you are trapped, and it is a prison planet till you awaken and realize that the whole place is there to keep you down, and you rise through it. You like consideration. The prison door.
Is a consideration.
It's an individual thing.
It is. Let's say, though, that thinking that the entire time gets then you in this reincarnation cycle, and the idea perhaps that it can be fixed, or that you're supposed to make any productive impact here whatsoever, is also what we would call a psyop, or a cycle in itself. It gets you to produce energy into the system. So it, again, fuels not only the fact that there is an issue here, but that people can rise out of it, which then energy attachment, because then you have a lot of disempowered people rising to a point of power to get latched on. You know what I mean?
Okay. They cannot latch on past the 4D frequency. So your internal structure rises. They will show up and they will appear. When I first started this, demons appeared like monsters, like they were just bigger than life. The more I worked with this, they shrunk to like a proper size because there's no fear involved, right? So now they seem to be under me. So I look down and I go, oh, demons, they can't touch me anymore, because I've gotten to a point where the parasites don't do that. So I'm gonna throw another one at you. So the AI, we have nanotech everywhere that's thrown in the chemtrails, it's in the food, the water, and everything. Okay, so I do a sigil and lock the AI out of myself during a massive problem under many ayahuasca ceremonies having to deal with this thing. So I create a sigil, a drawing, a logo to lock it out of my body. So I lock it out, but what happens is it locks it out from being able to puppeteer me. So it can't take over my mind no more. It doesn't matter how much AI it loads my body with. It just can't. However, I could still breathe it in the atmosphere, and I could still eat it and accidentally get it everywhere and rub it everywhere and just be in it. So you have to still have the metal purge. You have to like take ivermectin or hydrochloroquine. You got to do detoxes. You got to do foot baths and salt rubs, and that's all still got to be done, or else you get terrible breakouts or diseases or certain things. So you still have to do all the work, but you can't be a puppet no more. So there are stages to this as you unlock. They can't jump on me no more. You gang pile me, I will send you back to whatever your maker is. There is not a being on this planet outside of physically walking in here and kicking the shit out of me physically can do a damn thing to me. My last show was completely on how Satan energy asked me to help close a portal for them just this past weekend. And I had to go into the pit to close everything because Satan energy is energy and said, I can't do this because the game board is 2 players. The third player being the AI is flipping the board. Now, how do we handle this if me and you are playing the game? I prayed to Source. Wait, you're Satan. You don't pray to Source. I'm just an energy, bro. The demons all know Source is all power, is the whole thing. You come out of the game for a second and realize what you're in. I go, okay. They're like, we need your help. So I'm in the pit with them. Not a very wonderful experience in any way, shape, or form. However, everyone was very respectful. No one touched me. They said, please and thank you. Why? Because I am the creator. I am that. There is no one is going to tell me any different. And they stand with me. They're like, we are with you. No matter what. I'm like, hey, listen, this is not really what I need, but I love you guys. They were like, you don't understand. In the end, you're going to realize we're all friends. We're all characters wearing masks. So the Satan energy archetypes telling me, the demons are telling me, the general commander demons, I already beat Abaddon down. So none of these things are real. They're all constructs of your mind. So you can defeat them. Now, the problem is that we have parasitic humans running around doing things. They're a problem. So now you're getting your rape and your murder and your kill and your politics and your religion. These are all ticks, politics and isms and all kinds of stuff. That has to be removed one piece at a time, but it starts with you removing it from you. As you remove it, people come here, they're like, you have 12 cats. You're in a 1-bedroom apartment. Yesterday, they just played me for the first time in 10 years on FM radio. People think I should be rich and famous. I'm not selling a book. I make some music and I have some fun. I have the best, happiest life. But when we first started here, it was just stuffed boxes that needed to be dusted off. And it turned into the command center, and it turned into this, it turned into that. And the love grew until we're squeezing out of this fucking place where we don't even know what to do. And we just keep waking up and going, I love you more today than I did yesterday. And the magic just happens. So how do I explain that? And Brandon, don't mistake my passion for anything other than passion, as I love you, my dude. I'm just very passionate about this because I go through some shit here. Right. And I just keep pushing. Now, I came from a place of no push, just getting shoved victimization into not. That's how you defeat that part from my perspective. You rise up, and then eventually you're like Buddha, who there's paintings of Buddha giving out lotus petals to demons. Right. What is he doing? He's refreshing them. So he's standing at the line where the sea meets the sea, the light meets the dark, and he's one for you, and he's rescuing them and giving them love. What does that mean? It means you're very powerful. You're overcoming it. You can't just be creator, so powerful. I overwrite my programming. I save the day. You can't do that. We're not the Jesus program where Jesus comes and saves us. Neo comes and saves us. You're Neo. I'm Neo. She's Neo. We're all Neos, and we pop off. There's almost 9 billion people on the planet. About 4 billion people here are creators that are ready to transform. Now, one Jesus is enough for the universe, fully unlocked. So a fully unlocked Christ, one is enough for the whole universe to do No more rape, no more murder, no more eating things and all that. Okay, cool. What are you going to do when they randomly stop popping off? I might not be first. Karen might be first. You might be first. Somebody in Indonesia might just look up one day and be first and start doing a little something more amazing. And then you'll notice it and go, wow, Frank talked about that. And then you start doing it. And then you call me and you're like, Frank, look what I could do. And I'm like, hey, how the hell did you do that? I've been studying this. Whoa. And now I can do it because the energy exchange. We're here to all do that, creating a net web back over the phony matrix, and we're going to just shatter it and move through it. And we're going to show people the reality of this. Some people are not going to be ready. So there's the bifurcation of timelines and all that stuff. And that's maybe another conversation. But the timeline where you just shatter the firmament, let's say, in air quotes, and you just go straight into the reality. What are people going to do when they see the localized sun is different than the sun outside the firmament, which is just pumping source energy at us the whole time? What are we going to do when we find out that Thoth and Ra and Horus and all of them have been here the whole time? That they all went to war with Shiva and Ganesha and Kali. These are like archetypes of the energy after figuring it out and now being in that other realm and working together. So I'm like, Shiva, they taught, there's a book it's the Bhagavad Gita or something where they're going to war with everyone. I remember being in Egypt and the gods leaving and going to war with everyone with the fake Amun Ra and all these bloodlines. There you go. So there's spaceships and they're fighting. Who are you fighting? This is what I asked because I couldn't get through it. I was like, I hang out with them. I might as well just eat some mushrooms and be like, Shiva, what'd you do? So he could, because I want to be like him. He's so awesome. But he's like, look, you want to be like me because it's my energy in the presence. Just kind of absorb it and then go for it in your own way. Don't deify me. I go, I don't deify you. I high five you, bro. Right? Like I hug Isis, the goddess. Right? I dance with Ganesha. I sit on the throne of bones with Kali. Like I don't pray to them. I ask their energy to amalgamate with me to teach me my lesson that because I'm an energy master, you need to understand what energy is, their energy. And then they tell you, yeah, we all came here and we fought and people died. And the reptilian collective, those archons put the overlay in as the fight was occurring. And you just get trapped. It has nothing to do with how strong you are as source energy. Because when you get cycled back in, it's your energy. You get zoom, zoom, you go back in, and now you're Phil, you're Ralph, you're Susan with amnesia. They took all your abilities and toned it all the way down at a 2-strand and threw you in flesh, which is a robot made of flesh. And if you go lower than 2, there's problems, right? There'll be no sex, no reproduction, no praying, no abilities to do certain things. So you'll have like mass suicides and all kinds of weird stuff happen. People just go crazy. You give them 2 and a little squirt of DMT at night right out of their pineal gland. It's just enough for them to feel like there's more. And then they'll just keep going, hoping for the best. Well, at some point, someone's got to come in and break the cycle. And the black sheeps all came here to break the cycles of this whole thing. And we get caught up in addiction and the rapes and the murders and the horrible things, the drugs. And yes, you're not contracted for that stuff. There are lessons to learn within your experience because it's free will, right? Like I have free will. I could just go across the street and walk into my neighbor's house. I have free will, right? But I'm going to have to suffer the consequence when the guy pulls out a shotgun and goes, what are you just walking in my house? Well, I'm the creator. I could just walk in. Yeah, well, then you're going to get your ass kicked because we're sharing this space. You're not supposed to be doing that. These are the lessons you learn. It's not that I'm contracted to do that because I'm not contracted, but at any point I could just walk over there and do that. Who's going to stop me? And then it's no, it's consequence. It's not who stops you.
Frank, I got to interrupt you. I'm so sorry. You're all everything both of you have said has just been fantastic. And but we're getting close to the end of the show. And so what I want to do is boil it back down and put it in a nutshell, because we've got listeners and viewers from all different, states of consciousness and levels of ascension or awakening or whatever. And what I'm gleaning from a lot of what both of you are saying is that we need to think more of ourselves perhaps than what we've been taught or programmed to believe we are.
Fucking A.
You know, I think that is sort of it in a nutshell. I call it self-love. And you know,
Yeah.
a lot of people don't know how to love themselves. How can they love others? How can they love others when they don't know how to love themselves? And I know, because I had to learn how to love myself. I had to learn how to self-regulate and have self-control, which is part of love. You know, if you've got a kid, you don't let them go out and play in traffic or eat as much sweets as they want. They're going to make themselves sick, right? So I had to grow an internal parent. And that internal parent is the one who has marched me through the different steps, you know, overcoming adversity, all kinds. I've had some horrible things happen to me in my life, but that has nothing to do with me now. I have a really good life now. So what I want to do is just kind of finish off. I'd like to turn it back over to you, Brandon, and then Frank, you know, talk about basically advice for the viewers and the listeners that are on all different states of consciousness. And my final word is that I think we need to think more of ourselves, not less, and seize our power and become mistresses and masters of our own domain. And with that is the responsibility to be good people, to be kind, to be forgiving, to be loving, to be all those things. But there's also a measure of self-protection we need, because if we don't have our own back, who's going to have our back? And with that, I'm just going to turn it back over to you, Brandon.
Absolutely beautiful, beautiful cap, Frank. Karen, this is amazing. As always, you just have the most incredible conversations. And it's something you said, I completely agree. Jefferson said, you know, the price for freedom is ever vigilance. And that is sort of the point of this place, I think, is that there's just shit after you all the time. And Frank, I love you too, by the way, Bubba. I love your passion. I think you're incredible. I love everything about you, both of y'all. And so I know that you asked a question rhetorically, but to kind of sum up and answer your question as well, Karen, you asked a rhetorical question about Buddha handing out flowers to demons, and I wouldn't disagree with you that there's perspectives to have on that. My perspective, and here's why I will bring it to point, is to reiterate to everybody, Karen, to reinforce what you said, absolutely declare your sovereignty, cut any damn ties that you may be unconsciously experiencing, call all that shit back to you, because yes, it is all about you. No one's coming to save you. Frank, you nailed it on the Neo thing as well. My biggest thing is ask questions. Had a guy on named Andrew Benjamin. One of the most amazing things that he said, I wrote it down, I have it on a sticky note as a quote here, is the answer to life is the mastery of questions. And so to ask questions beyond anything that can be simulated is something that feels amazing. I mean, I took ecstasy when I was younger. It felt amazing, but it wasn't real. There's a lot of things as well. I look at the Hegelian dialect when applied to these types of things, and if this is an archonic universe to where things can just manifest, or you as the creator can put things in front of you to challenge yourself, then keeping in mind a metaphor that we have with us in current politics, I love that you emphasized that word on ticks, these blood-sucking lizard turd pieces of shit. Good call. Is that two birds of the same, two wings of the same feather. When we look at Republicans and Democrats, you could say that that's sort of maybe what's occurring with these sort of reaction suppressions whenever you're gifted intense energies, and then all of a sudden a deity walks in and goes, hey, I can make it better, and then runs them off. It might be its own left hand that it's running off, that it gave you all the weapons for in the first place, and then gives you something else, right? So what I mean to say is step out of that relationship in general if you're communicating with something, and just ask questions. So I'll wrap it up on this, to my answer to your rhetorical question, Frank, is that one of the ideas about Buddhism is actually it's an apprehension. It's actually not a great fulfiller of spiritual confidence, because it takes action out of the equation. And one would say that action is what's most important here, or balance is what's most important here. And I'm thought of examples in everything. When I look at any sort of faith or belief or ideal, I see it, but I see it with strings. So whenever you say Buddha was handing out flowers to demons, absolutely. Those were the demons that, from my perspective, those were the demons that ran out and got other people to just sit in a cave and meditate, rather than take over their local government and overthrow this shit and stop all the shit that gives the lessons in the rape and stuff in the first place. So it offers you, in exchange for action, it offers you passivity and a promise that things will be better later. It's the whole Bolshevik revolution idea. Q is another one of these things. Hey guys, don't stand up. Don't declare your sovereignty. We got you. This whole idea that someone else has got it, right? So this is how I see that interpretation of Buddha, which again just leads me to say all of it's awesome. And I love all of this shit. And I would love for it to be what I once interpreted it as, but I can't anymore. Because like you said, Karen, everything is an inversion here. And I used to enjoy the shit out of this, even New Age stuff. New Age is a satanic operation. Manifestation was talked about in this satanic church in the 90s, and they gave it all to the New Age people to prop up, to fracture the mind. It creates an imbalance, right? It creates this passivity, this, oh, well, someone else is going to handle it. I can manifest my way. So that it takes action out. So what that does is it removes you as a force that can do anything here with any power. So it's important to keep these things in mind because all of this is mental, Frank, like you said. Completely agree with that. Just as going forward with any of this stuff, because it is a convoluted, weird fucking place out here. So just to keep the perspective open and questioning, and always in your power, guys, always in your sovereignty. And again, Karen, thank you so much. Frank, let's connect, dude. I'd love to have you on. Thank you so much. This has been amazing.
Wow, that was awesome. I 100% agree. And I want to say this to the listeners right now, that if you ever had three people with three perspectives and everyone's correct, period. That's it. It's cool. I'm going to be cool with Brandon. I love him. I'm going to be cool with Karen. We all have our piece of the puzzle and we are all correct. And I want you to understand that all you really need to do is meditate. This is my thing to people. Ground in, feel nature, love yourself, meditate, sing a song, dance, laugh as loud as you can, as often as you can. That's that hope for the future that you were talking about, that hope that it's better and futuristically. You hand a pedal to the demon is refreshed. The demon can turn to source and leave. I've seen demons turn white and to turn into a light body that looks like the best version of the demon, and then it changes completely and goes to source. You're gone, transmuted back out of the pit, now into this, almost like your time's up. Next. So the consciousness, just like me, when I'm ready and I look up and I'm under ayahuasca and there's this character roaming and everyone's got their hands up going, save me. And I just look up and go, I love you and everyone here. And they just pluck me as if I'm harvested right up out of the pit and stand me right there. Grow in your power, understand who you are, and ask so many questions. So many. Discernment is key. Your awareness is key. So yes, do everything that you feel that you can to dig in just a little bit deeper. All you're going to do when you love yourself is find more love. When you dig in, the love is like what generates the power to break this place. So just love, right? Be compassionate, be kind, be awesome, right? Be fearless. The universe will reward you being brave. Stay brave, everyone. Thank you so much, Karen. I love you. Thank you for having me, Brandon. You're awesome. We're going to definitely connect. And it's conversations like these that now make the world go around. Okay.
Yep, absolutely. And Brandon and Frank, I love you both so much. I can't wait to have you on other panels with other guests, and because really I see us as being one community and one family. And how lovely, when we meet together. I'm a natural networker. I love to connect people. And, and I love it when we have the emotional maturity that we can have even the hard conversations. And still, the love is what sees us through it, the respect for each other. We don't have to fight. It doesn't have to be this or that. It can be this and that and the next thing and something else, too, that we never even thought of before. And that makes life so much sweeter. So I just want to tell you how privileged and honored I feel to have both of you on my show. And I can't wait to do it again. And I want to thank all the listeners and the viewers out there, because without you, I wouldn't even have a show. And I appreciate each and every one of you so much. please leave us a comment. We'll get back to you. I'll get back to you as best as I can and as quick as I can. And please do share this with other people, because this is a movement. This is a grassroots movement. What better thing could we be doing? I'm an old lady now, so, you know, this is just the most just exciting thing that I could be doing with my time. And I love everybody so much. So that's it for today. I hope I didn't cut either one of you off too much, but I just loved everything you had to say. And I want to thank everybody again. And we'll see you next week on the Quantum Guide Show. Bye-bye, everybody. Thank you for joining me for the Quantum Guide Show. Become the change that you wish to see in the world. Subscribe to my YouTube and other channels at Karen Holton TV. Click the like button, leave me a comment, and share this podcast with your friends. Check out my website at www.karenholtonhealthcoach.com to see my free resources and amazing products and services. All the links will be in the description below. As part of the Forbidden Knowledge Network, you will find the Quantum Guide Show with Karen Holton and also the Aliens and Angels podcast on all audio platforms. Until next time, keep up the good work.